Hey, NBA 2K MyGM fans, it's Coach 2K back with another NBA 2K MyGM series. And in this series, we're going to start something new. We're going to follow the career of a new GM in the league, and his name is Gus Rollins. Now, Gus, since he doesn't have any experience, he's not going to go to LA, he's not going to go to Boston, he's not going to go to Chicago, he's not going to go to Miami. He's going to have to launch his career from one of the smallest markets in the league, and that is going to be the Memphis Grizzlies. But he's happy to get started, and we're going to take an inside look at what he's thinking during his career. And in this episode, we're going to follow the entire first season. There's a lot to cover. If there's stuff I leave out that you guys want to see, make sure you hit me up in the comments. Let me know what you think I ought to do if I make mistakes, and what you'd like to see happen in the series, and maybe if I leave something out, what you'd like to see, and we'll try and help everybody learn about how to play MyGM. And so we're going to kick off Gus Rollins' career here and just see what happens. We're going to take a look at, you can see here, this is a small market. Now the roster we're going to use is the fictional roster that I use in my other My League series, the one with Donnell Jenks. If you haven't watched that, that's a fictional roster. And I decided to use a fictional roster here because I'm using an older version of NBA 2K. And so you kind of have to get to know the players. The other series will kind of help you do that as well. Now, the owner of the Grizzlies is Ben Parker. He's concerned about franchise morale, and he's concerned about money. So those are a couple things. And he doesn't look like he has a lot of patience, so he might be a little bit challenging to work with. So we're going to see what Ben wants in our first step here, and I'm sure he's got some things he'd like to see us do. And so as we move along, we're going to try and work with him. So one of the things he wants us to do is to keep team chemistry above 67%. I'm usually fairly good with chemistry, especially if I'm playing the games, but in this case I'll be simming the games. That might be a little more challenging, but we'll take a look and see what we can do about keeping team chemistry up. If you're going to win a championship, you got to have great chemistry on your team. The other thing is that he doesn't want me to break any promises. He don't want me to lie to the players. And so, the players are constantly nagging you, wanting to get more playing time, wanting to start. So that's going to be important to him. Now, he wants us to get rid of either Willie Garnett or Grant Bynum. And so that means we're going to have to make a trade, which means that's going to hurt team chemistry. So that's going to be kind of contrary to what we're going to try and do. So the other thing he wants us to do is be in the top 10 in attendance. And I don't know whether Ben knows this or not, but we're in Memphis. And the Grizzlies, it's a small market. It's going to be hard, but we're going to have to increase interest in the team. And so with that will come an increase in fan attendance. And he wants us to make the playoffs. So he thinks we're good enough to make the playoffs. So that to me, that's number one goal, getting the playoffs. That solves a lot of problems if you're winning, and hopefully we can win some games here with the Grizzlies with their roster. So those are some of the things he wants us to do. This is the kind of the budget. We don't have anything we can allocate. They just give you what the budget is initially, and this can be kind of a confusing screen, but we do have 8 promotions here. The points, 8 promotional points we can use to kind of help with fan promotions. We did end up using one of them. I forget what I put it in here, and we offered $1 million shot night. So those are some of the things you can do with the $1 million promotions. So anyway, that's what's going on with the budget. And so we want to take a look at who he wants us to trade here. We got Willie Garnett on the roster. You can see he's a 6'11 center, a lower rated player, $3.65 million. A simple contract there. He's not really burdening the team with his contract, so not sure what the deal is, but he's a great rebounder. Always like to have good rebounding from the center spot. He's a little young. He's a little lower rated, kind of in the middle of his career. The other guy named Grant Bynum, he's got a little bit bigger contract. He is a power forward, 6'9", a little older, but a little higher rated. So obviously he's kind of a role player here. For some reason, owners got it out for him. Grant Bynum's not as good a rebounder. So between the two, in terms of rebounding, I would probably opt to keep Willie Garnett in this particular case. Grant Bynum's got a bigger salary. It'd be nice to get rid of that because, as you'll see in a minute, we're over the salary cap. One thing about Garnett that I like is he's friendly, that everybody likes him. If we trade him, that'll hurt team chemistry. So probably what we're going to do is we're going to try and maybe play through the season a little bit. Maybe not trade this, one of these players until the All-Star break. Maybe build up chemistry and maybe get some production out of one of them and improve their value. So as far as the rest of the roster goes, our superstar is Freeman Beasley. Freeman Beasley's an 89 rated shooting guard from Texas. And you can see this guy's obviously got a pretty big contract. He's got a $30 million contract up to $41 million. So we're saddled with a pretty tough contract. He's joined at the small forward spot by Purvis Jones. I think he's a 6'6" small forward from Duke. Got a good pedigree there. 84 rated overall. Pretty good player. He also is, loaded up with a $30+ million contract. Now, when we load in these fictional rosters, you'll see the team and player options. They're going to be kind of screwed up for a little while as we work our way through this GM, and that's going to have to deal with that. Roy Bellamy is shooting guard, 6'7", 81 rated overall from Florida State. He is another one of our key players on the roster. Looks like he's going to be playing behind Freeman Beasley. He only got a $10 million contract, so we haven't loaded him up yet. He's on an expiring deal. We might have to decide what we want to do. He's a little bit older. He's 32. So while he's a highly rated player, he's got some age on him. Jonathan Myers, you guys might know him from my Cincinnati Lions team and my other series. He's a small forward, 6'9", 76 rated overall. He's pretty athletic, good dunker. Can't shoot the three ball very well. He can get it from the corner. Got a reasonable contract. And another role player. I don't think Jonathan Myers will factor into our long-term plans, but for the moment, we're going to keep him on the team moving forward. At the center spot, we got Aaron Barlow. He's 6'10" from Gonzaga, 75 rated overall. And, he's an okay player, but obviously another role player, not as strong as the other first few guys we talked about. And again, he's got a $10 million, $11 million contract. Not expiring this year, but expire next year. So I don't know how long Aaron will be with us, but we will utilize him in the short term as we work our way through learning about the team. Next up at shooting guard, we got another shooting guard, Nino Giachetti, 6'4" from Italy, 73 rated overall. $5.5 million contract this year. Don't have any stats. I'd show you the guys the stats of the players, but since no one's played any games yet, I don't have any stats. So we'll get those as we go along. Next up on the roster is Theo Vonleh, shooting guard, 6'4" from Kentucky, 72 rated overall. He's somebody who's got a contract, $4.4 million. I'm not sure what kind of player he is. Again, a lot of these guys from Kentucky and Duke, those are great colleges, great programs. Next up at the center spot, we got Von Lanier, 7'2". He's an enforcer from Seton Hall. And he's, I think we need to get a little stronger at the center spot. Looking at the roster, he's got a mid-sized contract here, $6, $7, $8 million over the next 2 or 3 years. But obviously, if we're going to win a championship here, we gotta upgrade the roster. Yuri Nevsky, 6'3" from Romania at point guard. Roster's a little thin at point guard. He's our best point guard, and so he's okay. He's just basically a rookie on his rookie contract. Again, these team and player options are kind of screwed up here. They'll have to deal with that working through the file because I can't correct it in the MyGM. You can't edit the players. Then we got Lonnie Hendricks. As you can see, he's loaded up with some badges. Small forward, 6'9", Minnesota, 70 rated overall. I'm not sure Lonnie, but he's a rookie. Who knows what he can develop into? He's just 21. reasonable contract with him as well. So not really killing us on the salary cap like Beasley. Beasley, man, that guy got a great agent. Next up, shooting guard. We got 6'8", maybe 6'6", Romeric Sorellis. I'm not sure how to pronounce his name. Friendly player, team player, also pretty inexpensive. So just filling out the roster with Romeric here. And we'll get to talking about the salary cap in just a second once we get done talking about the roster. But Steven Burke, he's a power forward, 6'9", from Cincinnati, 67 rated overall, friendly role player. And if I remember right, his contract is pretty small too. He's like second year. Oh, looks like a second rounder. Well, he went undrafted according to his player card. Looks like he had a second round contract. But in addition to Willie Garnett and Bynum, I can't remember his name exactly, but we got Roy Bellamy here. I didn't talk about him, but Roy Bellamy, at least I don't remember talking about him. He's a two-way guard. He's on an expiring deal. These are our contracts that are expiring. Now, our salary cap situation, we're over the cap and we're over the luxury tax threshold. There's two problems. It's going to be difficult to get under the cap initially, and our goal is to get under the luxury tax threshold as soon as possible. I don't know if we'll be able to accomplish that this season or not, but we're going to try. So you can see as we look down the salary cap chart there, who's got what salaries. But obviously we're loaded up with Freeman Beasley. That's a crazy contract. One of the things I like about the MyGM is you get to deal into the finances. Now, we're not going to talk about a ton about finances, but you can see we got the luxury tax there on the balance sheet. We're projected to lose money this year, so and a lot of money. So we've got our work cut out for us in terms of what we need to do. And also, the thing about this Grizzlies squad is that we don't have a first-round pick this year. We only got 2 second-rounders. So we're not even really going to build into the draft. So we're kind of stuck in a salary cap problem. We don't have any draft picks, so it's tough. So the next thing we'll look at was the staff. Looking at the staff here, we've got this Nathan Mason. He's our CFO. He's got kind of a merchandising problem. That's what that red signature badge means. It means he doesn't have many contacts, so his merchandise is 10% higher. We're going to take a look at maybe replacing the CFO and see if we can find us a better CFO to run the team. The head coach, since team chemistry is an issue, he handles losses. Really, he's a former player, but I get the sense he's got a temper problem. And in order to build a better chemistry situation, even though this is related to his staff, the trust in the staff, I think that's going to filter down to the rest of the organization. So we're going to look to get rid of him. And then also our scout, he had some problems with, maybe not being quite as thorough as he could be. So we're going to, take a look at maybe replacing all three of them. We're not going to replace the scout this season. We're going to replace the CFO. We're going to go ahead and fire him. We're also going to fire the coach and try and onboard somebody else. So we're going to start with the CFO, firing him. We're being polite about it. We're not out to burn any bridges here. And he takes it pretty well, I thought. So, we appreciated his support. And he was likewise kind to us. I'm sure he'll find another spot in the league, but we wanted to get rid of the CFO. And so that was mainly to see if we could improve economically. And so we're going to bring in another CFO. Looks like we're going to also, I don't know why I fired the coach here too. Oh, yeah, I fired the head coach. And I think, he figured out his time was coming. He wasn't going to make it last. But, the press, they kind of hassled me about firing the coach. I want to know if the owner was behind me. I told him the owner gave me his full support. I gained trust with the owners, and the fan interest, which was sitting at 35% when we started, is at 39%. Team chemistry, by the way, was at 85% at the start. So we've already got the fans a little more interested, so that's good. And we're going to bring a guy on named Noah Rogers. Now, Noah's okay. He's not the best candidate out there, but I worked with what the pool would give me, and I just felt it was a little bit better situation to bring Noah on. And then what I thought it made sense to do was to offer the assistant coach the job of the head coach. However, he would rather be working with a contending team, and we are not a contending team yet. And so once he told me that in our talks, I decided that it was time for Caleb to go too. So we got rid of Caleb as the assistant coach. So now we got 3 vacancies. So we had the CFO, which we filled, and then the coaching spot, and now the assistant coach. So we're going to look for a head coach. Now, we spent a long time. We interviewed as many head coaches as there are, and all the assistant coaches. And finally, we couldn't really find anybody we thought was a great fit because of our market. There were always a little bit something wrong with it. But this guy is A's across the board, Brett Hawkins. And we figure, well, we got to hire somebody that doesn't fit. We're going to hire the best person with the best grades. And Brett Hawkins is that guy. So he is now our head coach. So we're excited to bring him on board. And like I say, I think I spent not hours, but half hour, 45 minutes, maybe an hour just interviewing all these coaches. And then from the assistant coach, I interviewed Michael Soffer for the head coach job. He wanted to be an assistant coach. He was pretty adamant about it. But he really liked what's going on in Memphis, and he said all the right things. And so we decided to make him an assistant coach. So from a staffing position, we replaced the CFO, we replaced the head coach and the assistant coach. We didn't touch the scout. We don't have any draft picks really this upcoming season for the first round, so I figured scouting wasn't that big a deal. And we told the press in our first major press conference that we're out to build a dynasty here. We want to bring a championship to Memphis. So we're going to do what we can to do that, and we're whatever it takes. So you can see the fan interest now is up to 45%. Morale's up. So, we've raised fan interest by about 10%. And then we opened the season with a win against the Indiana Pacers. Byron Dantley, as you guys know, you should be familiar with him if you've been watching my other series. The guy's awesome. And Freeman Beasley put up 24 points in the win for us. And Purvis Jones, 18. Bellamy had 13. So it was nice to get off to a good start. And then we had our home opener where we had the $1 million shot. Now, I didn't see the $1 million shot. I don't know if we gave it away or not. But you can see we had 3 guys with 20. You got 3 guys scoring 20 points. I think that's a pretty good sign. And you can see some of the stats of some of the Atlanta Hawks players. Atlanta's not that great, but we did start off to a few wins. We played through the All-Star break, and we started looking around the league for guys on expiring deals who weren't happy. Freddie George was one of those players. He's a great 89 rated player. But, difficult to get a guy like this when they're paying him $30 million and we don't have any cap space. So there really wasn't, unless I got rid of Bellamy or Purvis or Freeman Beasley, I just didn't see us being able to make a move there. His teammate, Antoine Spades, who's an awesome player, really love to have this guy. 87 rated overall, 11 points a game, 6 assists. He's a great player. But he's kind of in the same situation. He was in the ballpark, but I just figured we already got Freeman Beasley at small forward. He's already 89 rated overall, so we're going to stick with him. And but one thing I did like about Spades is he's a defensive anchor, because we're starting to think about what kind of team we want to put together. This first season, I'm not sure we're going to really reach any of those goals. But the Warriors, even though they were rebuilding and likely to kind of let some of their players go. We didn't really feel like they were ideal. Another guy we liked was this guy named Orlando Dedman, and he's in the last year of his contract with the Thunder, and he's a double-double guy, and we like that. We like his rebounding, and we feel like we're weak at center, 82 rated. We get an upgrade at center, and he's also got a defensive anchor, which we feel like we need on the team. We need. I think we want to build a team around defense. So as we go through Gus's career, that's going to be probably one of his biggest focuses. Now, he had a reasonable contract, $10 million in salary, and we felt like that was something that we could absorb. Now, I don't know if we can sign him or not, but the Thunder were in a position too where they were selling, so we felt like they were a team that we could deal with as well, and so we definitely put him on the list. Another guy that we really liked was this Bison Dang. I think he's how you say his name, from Nigeria. Same situation. He's going to test free agency, so we figure these teams might want to get something out of him. And so his stats aren't as good, but I like this guy because he's young. He's 22 years old, and he's also relatively inexpensive. He would have been in our budget. But the problem with the Heat is they got a pretty good team. They got like 3 All-Stars on their team from my other My League series. I know that. And they're contending. I didn't really feel like it was realistic to kind of try and pull Dang from this team when they're really wanting to kind of, contend for a title. I wouldn't think they would get rid of him. Another guy with the Raptors, Theo Knight. We were weak at point guard. We feel like we need an upgrade at point guard really, really bad. We're really thin there. I think pretty much for most of the year, one true point guard. He's within our budget. 6'1", a little undersized. This is a small point guard league. Watch my other series, you probably know that. Another guy with the Raptors, Jelani Capella, 6'2" from Nigeria, also a point guard. We liked him too, but his assist numbers really aren't that great. So, I want a guy out there that's going to get the ball and to the guy's hands that can score. I don't really want to shoot first point guard. Reasonable salary though, we probably could have absorbed that. Raptors are also rebuilding, so it's potentially possible we could have maybe worked with the Raptors, but we decided not to do that. Now we do need to get rid of Grant Bynum, who was the guy we wanted to get rid of, but the problem was that he was injured, and you can't trade a guy who's injured, so we were kind of stuck here, and Bynum was the guy that we wanted to get rid of. He's having a pretty good season, almost 12 points a game, 6 rebounds, but we're stuck with Bynum. So we had to get rid of Willie Garnett to kind of help the owner reach his goal. We threw in a second rounder and another player to get Orlando, and we picked up another role player along with him. I think we had to throw in a trade exception too to make the deal work, but we got the deal done, and Orlando is now on the Grizzlies. So we've shored up the center spot. We got a defensive anchor, and it says we failed the goal, but we did. I just traded the guy. I'm not sure why that. Maybe I misunderstood what they wanted. So anyway, at the All-Star break here, which is coming up, I think we were about 7 games above 500. I'll be able to tell you here in just a second. Let's have a look here. We're going to have a press conference. And what I liked about this press conference is that the fans love it. They were excited about this kind of deal. And, we think he's going to be a starter. So that's what we said. And everybody seems to agree with what we were doing. And that's a good sign, especially from the fan interest standpoint. Well, we were up to what? Was that 88%? I can't read it on my screen. Anyway, everybody was happy with that move. I think we were 7 or 8 games above 500 at this point. Fan interest is up. We're still broke. But we got some good news, though, right? That Purvis Jones, our small forward, he made the All-Star team. I did not expect that. I would have expected Freeman Beasley. But he is going to be in the All-Star contest, which is exciting for the franchise to have somebody playing. So congratulations to him. And he was on the winning team. You can see, I guess, is that Beasley? Beasley did make the All-Star team. Well, I didn't really realize that until now. So we had 2 guys on the All-Star team. But Hot Rod Dupree had 27. And you can see, that Purvis Jones had 4. I can't believe I didn't realize Freeman Beasley made the All-Star team until now. That just goes to show you there's so much to pay attention to in MyGM. We did get some bad news. We dealt with some injuries throughout the year. Aaron Barlow, he's expected to miss 2 months. So we were already shorthanded at center. So we went to free agent market. We found somebody to step in for us, Raif Ruiz. He's like, reminds me of Tom Cruise in Risky Business. Looks like the University of Illinois. And he's like, looks like it's the Memphis Grizzlies. So we had a pretty good first season. I was surprised. We ended up being 44-38, and we were the 7th seed. And we averaged 105 points a game. And so we made the playoffs in our first season. So we did reach the goal that we wanted to, which was to make the playoffs. So we helped make the owner happy. You can see our leading scorer for the year was Freeman Beasley. Dedmon came in. He's, getting the boards. Second half of the season after the All-Star break. Beasley, 7 assists a game. He's our leading assist guy and scorer. So he's doing it all out there. And from steals, he's also stealing. So good player. He's earning that $30-some million. He's going to get a chance to see what he can do in the playoffs. If anything, Purvis Jones here, he led the team in blocks. So pretty good from I think he's from the shooting guard spot, quite honestly. Anyway, most valuable player this year was Sean Rooks of the Nets. And he's a superstar. I've seen him get like 42 and 24 before in my other My League series. So we're going to face off against the Minnesota Timberwolves. Now the T-Wolves are tough. They got Hakeem Kingsley, Daniel Woolridge, two of a kind there. You can see they stuck it to us in game 1, 122-110. I forgot to put game 2 in here, but you can see Kingsley got a triple-double in game 1 of the playoffs against us. And you can see Bellamy led us with 25, Jones with 24, Beasley with 20 and 11. So we had 4 guys with 20, which is pretty good, but wasn't enough. Oh, I guess I do have game 2. Maybe I don't have game 3. Game 3, we got beat again, 120-104. Kingsley scored 35 this time. Woolridge with a double-double. He had 19 rebounds. You can see Dedmon. Look at that. 23 points, 17 rebounds, a couple blocks. Jones with 21, Beasley with 14, and 15 assists. Yeah, pretty good assist number there. And we lost game 3. I don't have the stats of that. We did lose game 4 as well, and we got swept. So lost both games at home. See, Beasley had 35, 5, and 11 assists, and Kingsley again dominating for the T-Wolves as they move on to the second round. T-Wolves are tough. That was a tough draw in the first round. T-Wolves are one of the best 4 teams in the league. But the Lakers would go on to win the championship, and they would beat the Pistons. And I think they swept them. We'll find out here in a second. But Hot Rod Dupree, he averaged 34 points a game, 6 rebounds, 3 assists. And great job, Hot Rod Dupree, winning the championship. And, of course, he's pumped up about that. You see how they swept them 4-0. Lakers beat the T-Wolves. T-Wolves made it to the conference finals after beating the Clippers, who are another pretty good team. So, not bad. First playoff run, we got knocked out. So the owner wanted to meet with us. We're going to see what he wants. He's got a new goal, and he wants us to get rid of Bellamy. Now, I thought about getting rid of Bellamy, and I should have got rid of Bellamy during the regular season, but team chemistry, I was right above where he wanted me to be, and I knew if I made that trade, team chemistry would fall. So I didn't trade him. I didn't get anything out of him. He's an 80-rated player. That was a huge loss from the roster management standpoint. So we're just going to have to renounce the rights to him. He, like us, knows the owner's like, hey, we need some point guards here. And I told him, hey, we're going to get on that. So we're going to get rid of Bellamy. We're going to get some point guards. Try and help the team out a little bit at point guard. And then we didn't have any draft picks, but I thought you guys might be interested to see, who some of these picks were. Number 1, Marcus Carter. He got a pretty good vertical, went to the Celtics. The Hawks had the number 2 pick, and they picked Kendall Hayes. He's a pretty good player. Went to UCLA. He was almost 30 points in the game. Still leading scorer in the country. He should be a pretty good pick. At number 3, the Thunder, they got Terrence Walsh. And this draft class, I'll let you kind of read these. I'll talk about this draft class as we go through. This draft class is one that was made by, I think it was Big Doug Swan from the Operation Sports Forums. I'm using it in my league series, but I got 7 of these draft classes that we're going to use going forward that he created. So we're going to start out with some custom draft classes, all fictional players. You know, I like this MyGM for the traditional MyGM and NBA 2K19. I like that. And so I didn't want to use an old roster. You know, a while back I talked about working with the Clippers and rebuilding that old team. But after I got thinking about it, I thought you guys, you'll have to kind of learn the players, but you'll kind of learn what goes into thinking behind the MyGM. You see Mo Page here. Josh Mackey, a 7-footer. So, I think we'll go through the 9th pick here, let you guys see who was drafted through the next pick. But, we didn't have a first-round draft pick. So we're just kind of a spectator here, just like you guys are. We only had a second-round pick. We had 2 second-rounders. We traded one of them away in that deal for Dedman. So, we didn't have a lot to work with. The next year we do have a first-round pick, so we should be able to maybe get some help in the draft, depending on where we pick at. Hopefully we'll have another pretty good season. We'll see how we do in free agency here. We're going to make some moves in free agency here in just a minute, so you can kind of see what happens going into next season. But Brandon Reese there wraps up the top 9 picks. He's from Florida. We ended up going with Deontay Simmons. He's a 21-year-old pass-first point guard. Now, he's lower rated, but he's somebody that we needed a point guard, and so we're going to draft him. And because of our salary cap situation, we're gonna sign him too. So they say he's got a freakish build with a 6'10" wingspan. So who knows? I mean, maybe we can find a sleeper here, but he's an athletic point guard, and we signed him to a 1-year deal, and he's now on the contract with the Memphis Grizzlies. And then we went ahead because we need to get rid of Bellamy. We can't trade him. We just renounced the rights to him. And so we've got some decisions to make about these other 3. Now, during free agency, we shored up the point guard spot with a guy named Thomas Sabalas. I think he brings some veteran leadership to the team. He's got some championship DNA. I think he'll help some of the players on the team. And so we picked up another point guard. Now we got 3 point guards. You see he averaged about 10 points a game, almost 5 assists. And we picked him up at the league minimum. He wanted more than that, but he did want to play for us. And so he was willing to take the league minimum. And next guy we picked up was power forward, 72 rated Zay Chaney, 6'10". He's a young guy. I got him because he's a tenacious rebounder. And we think he's got a lot of potential to become a pretty good power forward. But we wanted some rebounding. And we think this guy can do it. He was in our price range. There were a lot of free agents, including Dantley, that just sat there for a while, Byron Dantley, and who eventually signed. And then we thought about passing on Orlando Dedman to stay under the luxury tax threshold, but we just feel like we owe it to Beasley, we owe it to Purvis Jones to get some help. Well, I don't want to waste that $37 million on the guy that, without trying to get some wins. We feel like Dedman can get us some wins. And we couldn't pay him what he wanted either, but he was happy with the team. We went through the interview process, asked him some stuff about how he felt like he fit in, and he felt like he fit in pretty well. So we've added to the portfolio. Gus Rollins has 1 playoff appearance. We hope to add some numbers to that championship column. And so what we're going to do here going forward is in the next video following Gus Rollins, we'll go through another full season. Maybe he'll be a GM for 20 years. I don't know. But I'm interested to know what you guys think. Let me know in the comments what you think of the Grizzlies, how we did in this first year, and what you think we should be doing. I've kind of got in my head what I want to do. It's going to take a little while to kind of get through it. I think we got some handicaps here: the salary cap, and we had the draft pick situation this first season. So it's going to probably take a little while to get to the level we want to get. But hope you enjoyed the episode. I am Coach 2K. I'll see you on the court in the next episode. Thanks for watching.